Okay, and we're live. Hello, hi. Hi, Simon.
Hi, David.
Hi. Hey, thanks for joining me in this live session
Oh, my
tonight.
pleasure.
And yeah, thanks. And well, I guess I am, and we are all interested in learning your experience and your let's say, quit smoking path with the program. And well, first of all, you are Sister Simon Clare. Tell us, where are you from?
I grew up in Montreal, but I was born in Northern Ontario in Canada, up in the land of ice and snow.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Okay. And well, how are you? I mean, how are
Good.
you feeling today?
I feel great. I feel great. I was thinking on the weekend, I was telling somebody about the program. The way that it happened was so strange for me, but it occurred to me if I hadn't found your ad that day and written to you, I would still be smoking like right now. And that's
Mm-hmm.
a very sobering thought.
Okay, that's interesting to know. And how is, I mean, when did you have your last cigarette? Just a
Oh, a little bit over 3 months ago.
little bit over 3 months ago. Okay, so
Yeah,
you're over 3 months free from this let's say this habit, right? And this let's call it. Can we call it slavery? Because
sure.
I like to call the smoking addiction like slavery. I mean, I was feeling like slave to cigarettes when I was smoking, and as you know, I was smoking very much. I mean, I was having up to 3 packs a day, especially on long days. And I was. You're probably looking at one of the worst smoke addicts in this world, and I'm 7 years now free from smoke.
That's such good news, isn't it? To
Yeah,
know you
yeah,
have that behind you.
yeah, absolutely. And how is your, I mean, how did your life change since when you are not smoking?
Oh, so many ways. Certainly, I noticed a big change in my health. I have a lot more stamina.
Hmm.
I didn't have breathing difficulties from smoking, but I have been able to do a lot more physical things a lot more quickly and efficiently since I quit smoking. It's just like my blood is cleaner. There's more oxygen in my system.
Hmm.
So I'm more alert. Um, I'm more conscientious. I'm not always thinking about when can I have that cigarette, which is the big thing. And I'm more confident, I think. It's been bothering me so long that I was smoking as much as I did. Having that thought out of my head, that constant, when am I going to quit smoking? When am I going to quit smoking? How am I going to do it? What's going to happen? Can I succeed? Can I fail? Was driving me slowly crazy. So having that gone has given me a space in my mind and a confidence in my attitude to start several new projects that I'm working on with the order and a couple of articles that I'm writing for a magazine. And it's just all so smooth. It's so nice. There's no, gotta stop and have a cigarette, gotta run to the store and buy cigarettes. All that bullshit is over. It's great.
Right. And what about walking up the steps? Did you find any difference? Is it easier now to walk
It
the
was
stairs?
it Yeah, I know you asked me that the first time, and I think I said I never had trouble with steps because I have very good lungs.
Hmm.
But yeah, I did notice a difference because I would usually pause. My knees would hurt, so I'd pause on the sixth landing. But I just came back from New York from the same building where our retreat was held, and I was able to go up those stairs running without stopping. It was wonderful, really
Hmm.
wonderful.
That's great. Good. Hey, so tell us about your story about your smoking. When did you start, and how and why did you start? Why do you think you started to smoke?
Well, both of my parents smoked. And my father was, I guess, kind of old school because I can remember him telling both my brother and I, when I was about 10 years old, that if we wanted to smoke, go ahead, but we had to buy our own cigarettes and we had to smoke in the house. I was never allowed to smoke on the street. He thought that made me look like a hooker. But when I think of it now, how bizarre. We were children. I was 10. My brother was 13. So I started to smoke when I was 11. I'd always been surrounded with it. It wasn't a big, exciting moment for me, but a friend of mine and I had gone to babysit. And we're sitting in the kitchen. The baby was asleep. And on the kitchen table of that house, for some reason, there was an open box that was full of cigarettes. And she and I sat at the table facing each other, both 11 years old, and we smoked one after another, everyone that was in that box. But it didn't make me feel sick. That's what surprised me. She was green as anything, but I never had any trouble becoming a smoker. It was like second nature, and I loved it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So it was even, well, in your case, it was probably even harder to quit, I guess. Because, I mean, if you did, well...
The one thing I find I'm still doing, and it's, I know just because it's a habit of, 40 plus years, is if I suddenly get extremely stressed out about something, in my head, I'm almost reaching for a cigarette. I don't want a cigarette. I don't want to smoke it. It's just that became almost a reflex. I feel that buildup of stress, so I reach for a cigarette. And it's so nice to not have a cigarette there that's going to take over, my life and my face. Smoke in my eyes and burning my clothes. You burn one veil as a nun and you're in serious trouble. And I've done that a couple times.
Oh, okay.
I guess we all have, but it's not good.
So you said you liked your first cigarette. So did your first cigarette taste good to you?
It tasted much hotter than I expected. I didn't ever think that the smoke would be hot. Oh no, I had it. My mother gave me a cigarette, I think about a year before that. We were driving in the States. But she smoked ridiculously mild cigarettes, so I had no bad reaction to that one either. I think it's because my parents were both such heavy smokers. I was probably absorbing nicotine from the time I was born. So it wasn't a big shock to my system when I started to inhale it myself. It was just on top of everything that was there already.
So you've been smoking for how many years?
Oh,
more or less.
With a couple of breaks, I would say probably 40, 45 years.
40, 45 years. And what made you decide to quit? I mean, what was your reason?
I was still really mad at myself. I quit for a couple of years, maybe 6 years ago, just cold turkey. And I really liked not being a non-smoker, especially being able to drive past the store where I used to have to stop every day and buy cigarettes, just be able to go right by. That was a great feeling for me. But then it's such an insidious poisoning. I became one of those people that could smoke maybe 2 cigarettes in a month, and it never bothered me the rest of the time. So I kept that up for about 6 months, and then maybe it was a pack every 6 weeks. It was getting a little bit more. And when my son came home and he was a pack-a-day smoker just down the hall from me, it was so easy to bum cigarettes. And within a month, I was up to a pack a day again. And I've always been mad at myself that I let that happen. But the thing was, when I quit that time, for some reason, just a fluke, like luck or coincidence, it was very easy for me. I didn't have very many cravings. It was nothing like the big deal that I was led to believe it was going to be. They have you thinking you're going to need blood transfusions almost, and a pile of nicotine gum, and it's a whole industry, just this quit smoking stuff. It's terrible. So I was very surprised at how easy it was. But I was also living alone as a contemplative hermit at that time. So I didn't have many external stresses. It was a different kind of life. But ever since 6, 7 years ago, when Ty came home, I have been steadily smoking a pack a day, watching all that money go up in smoke. It's even when I'm buying the cheap cigarettes that you can get here at the Indian reservations that are like, you can buy a carton for as much as you would buy a single pack here. So I didn't feel guilty about spending the money. I didn't feel well. You know, my chest always felt like it was full of dirt. And the car, that was another big thing, a motivator for me too. I was getting so tired. I've got a beautiful car and I love to drive. Get in the car and it's a great vehicle, but it reeks of cigarette smoke and there's bits of ash and everything all over the place. You know, it's such a filthy habit, a very dirty habit. And I think I was just at the end of the rope. It's funny because from the very first that my son had moved in, which would have been around this time of year, I guess, the next New Year, he said to me, okay, let's quit smoking together. That's going to be our New Year's resolution. You've met Ty. He's a great guy, but he has said that every New Year's now for 6 years, and I always anticipated, so I'm ready to try some way to quit smoking. This year, I just said, forget it, and it was bothering me more and more in the back of my mind. I think I found your link on one of those useless quit smoking chat groups, which is just a chat group. It's nothing. And contacted you. And I was not at that time thinking I wanted to smoke. What I was thinking was I was curious about your method and I wanted to see what it was. And damn it all, I started to take it. And because I was doing the homework, and I have to stress that you've got to do the homework because that's how it works in your unconscious mind. And it's that part of you that really fights the battle more than the rest of it, or at least it was for me anyway, because it was only a week and I started to notice, like, I'm not smoking like I used to, but I still at that time, even though I was seeing the videos every day, I hadn't made 100% deal with myself that I was going to be able to do this. You know, I wasn't expecting to succeed the way that I did because I had tried a couple of times cold turkey in the past 2 or 3 years, and miserable failure, just miserable failure. I thought it would be so easy, so I was never concerned that well, when I want to quit again, I'll just do it. And what a joke. It didn't happen. It was hopeless. And so like you, I would even smoke and chew the nicotine gum at the same time with a patch on, the whole thing. I know exactly what you meant when you described that.
Oh, I was feeling so sick in these days, but I couldn't help it. I was smoking with a patch in my arm, and I was chewing these nicotine gums. That was awful. But I really couldn't help it. I don't know. When I was still convinced that smoking was part of my life, it's something that I needed. We all went through there. Now, tell me something. Now, you said you've been. You've had some periods where you were not smoking, and then you relapsed, and right now you're non-smoking. You're a non-smoker right now. What's different now to those times when you didn't smoke? What's the big difference that you're feeling now?
The big difference is it's got to be the mindset, really, because you have a pack of cigarettes on the table in front of you, which I don't, of course, but if nobody touches those cigarettes, they're not going to harm anyone. So it's not the cigarettes that are the problem, it's the smoker that's the problem. And I knew I was the problem, and I felt so guilty all the time. When I started to use your program, it never occurred to me after the first few days that I wasn't going to succeed. I was surprised all the time at the way it was progressing, but I feel free of it, 100% free of it. I don't want to go back to it ever. And I also find I can be with my friends who are smoking, and it doesn't bother me at all. I don't feel like, oh, I wish I could have a cigarette with you, or gee, that smells good. Cigarettes now, to me, smell like diesel fuel. I can't.
How
It's
how do you
horrible.
see? Yeah, how do you see people who smoke right now? I mean, what's the view you have of them right now?
To be honest, I think the best word is I find it very confusing. I can't imagine. I got such a sense of a disconnect with cigarettes when I became a no smoker that it's like I lost how that relationship between a person and a bad habit works. I lost the instinct for that somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And I see my friends pick up cigarettes and light them, and I think, first of all, why would you do that? You know, it's a little roll of a dried up plant. And you know it tastes disgusting. You know it's really bad for you. It's going to make your environment smell, and it costs a fortune. Why would you do that? Why do you feel you have to sit down and do it? I know I felt that way, but I have no memory of feeling that way at all. And because of that, I have no concern that I'm going to start again. I don't want to take everybody's cigarettes away and, you know, say, no, you have to do what I'm doing. But for me, it's over. I'm free of that, and it's wonderful.
Okay. And about the people who smoke right now, do you think well, you already answered to that. So it's not that you see them as, oh, lucky them that they can have a cigarette.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just think it's so foolish. It's a foolish waste of money.
You know, right now, I mean, it still continues because one of the first things that I had when I quit smoking is I was looking at people who were smoking. I was looking at them like, oh boy, I have many things to tell you. And
yes.
if you knew what I know, you wouldn't smoke by now, right? Is that the feeling that you're having as well?
Yeah, and it's very frustrating. A very close friend who is, 30 years, and he's been trying to quit using that book that you talk about, that system. And he quit once before with that. I don't know how far he had to go with the different meetings and all the money, but he doesn't want to spend the money this time. He's just going through the book again. He started trying to quit a month before I found your program, and he's still trying to quit. He's still smoking. He hasn't cut down. He hasn't made any progress at all. So I keep telling him, why don't you have a look at this? It's going to work. No. You know, he's got to do it his way. He's one of those people. He's got blinders on. He doesn't want to try something new. And a lot of people, too, if they have no understanding of the subconscious mind or subliminal learning, they get a little bit scared. I think maybe I'm going to be brainwashed, or, God forbid, am I going to wake up as a white slave somewhere? Or what is this guy trying to do to me? But it's such a benevolent process. What made you decide you wanted to share it with so many people?
Well, I created the product, and I am because I found a way that it's applicable to many different people. And of course, there are many different situations out there, but the mechanics that are let's say, that are regulating this addiction are pretty much standardized. It's pretty much the same all over the place. So I decided to make a product out of that, and to make this program.
It really has been the greatest gift anyone ever gave to me. I still can't. 3 months, I still wake up in the morning and I think, hey, I'm not reaching for a cigarette. My skin is clean. My hair doesn't smell. I'm a non-smoker. I love it.
You see, the thing that's missing on that, you mentioned the book before. I mean, without saying too much about it, but the thing that is missing from that book is actually the things that you are finding in this program, because The whole subconscious mind is not taught in that book. It's part of one of the next steps that goes after the book. So the big difference is that, I mean, with this product, with one single purchase, you have the whole thing, and
Mm-hmm.
you can always have it there with you. I mean, there are also people who, I mean, if you do it diligently as you did, you are probably the most diligent one, because you took just the right amount of days, the 14 days. I mean, you just had the 14 days, one in a row. I mean, all in a row, right? One at a
It was
time, all in a row.
yeah, it was a surprise to me too. But when I felt it start to work, I knew I wasn't gonna slow down. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't wait for day 14 to come. I was, I had given up cigarettes altogether because I thought it was so amazing that I could.
Right.
And then by the time day 14, as I told you, I don't want to light that last cigarette. I'll do the ritual, but let me grind it out or break it up or something, because I just
Mhm.
don't want that in my body. I was disgusted,
That's
completely disgusted.
that really tells. I'm pleased, because that really tells how powerful this method is.
Oh, yeah. And a
I
lot
mean,
of the visualizations that you have too are very, very powerful.
you get to the end where, well, I told Ty the other day that he was concerned about having to quit to smoke after 2 or 3 days. I said, no, go on, keep smoking the same way you did all the time. It'll come natural to you to quit. I mean, because when you are prepared, in the end, I mean, you said it right. Day 14, you didn't even want to smoke that cigarette, and that's brilliant. That means that the whole drill worked perfectly.
Oh, yeah, and it did. It did. I never found, once I got going with it, once that first week was done, I never had a feeling again that I couldn't succeed at it.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people maybe start with some doubts, but there's no reason to doubt if you follow the videos and do the homework. You gotta stress, do the homework, because that's how, otherwise I think I would have felt so attached to you and your videos that that was the only time I felt strong about not smoking. But the assignments that I did after the videos, that was making it a part of my life without you as well. So I was working on it from two different ends of the same problem. And that
Hmm.
was a huge part of the success of it. You can't skip through that. You can't say, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. It's not important. It's very important. It's very important.
Right. Sorry, I was typing something here. I'm just gonna show the link to the page. Um, okay, so now let's go back a little bit to the groups that we were talking about. What I
Hmm.
mean, I know that there's a few quit smoking support group out there. However, I am totally, how can I say, in favor of. There are some professional support group for quitting some addictions out there.
Hmm.
However, if you think about it, they are generally managed by people who went through the same path, but they found
Yes.
a way
Yeah.
how to help other people. So, what can you say? What's your experience about these Facebook support groups? Because I have my own idea, and I have absolutely no shame in saying that, because I've seen what people is saying in these groups, and I've seen what's the result of that, and I have my own idea. But I would like to hear you first, and then I may share also my idea, which I think you
Well,
know what I think of them.
yeah. No, the quit smoking Facebook pages. It's a nice little social environment. I don't know. Maybe some people are helped with that. It would never be enough for me, because when you're in those groups, all you're reading is how hard other people are having it to quit. The conversation is constantly about how many cigarettes I had today, how many times I had cravings, how hard it was. The whole thing is about cigarettes. There's nothing about the person who's doing the smoking, and that's the
Yeah,
key.
yeah, that's exactly right. I also hear people. I mean, like, I am 6 months that I quit, but I have all these cravings. Come on, 6 months, really? I mean, chemically, 36 hours is enough to get rid of all nicotine. So the chemical
Unless you live
reaction,
with a smoker.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you see, I mean, you had to live with a smoker for a pretty extended period of time after you quit, and still you're still here, non-smoking, right?
That's right. Yeah. It was hard
So
though.
I think in these groups there's a lot of good people that are really looking and seeking for help.
I think they
And
genuinely want to quit, but there's no method in a social group.
yeah,
There's
also,
nothing.
I mean, my experience was also a little bit harsh, but I'm not the only one because there are some other people who did participate to this group that wanted to help, and immediately you're accusing that you want to advertise your product. I didn't advertise anything. I'm just giving some hints. And what I found, there's always some people who are lynching all those who are giving some sensible suggestions, and because as soon as they see that, oh, this may be working, there's always somebody who is lynching you, and I really don't understand that behavior.
Oh, well, that's
And
not
in
hard
the
to understand. They do that to the person who has a good idea to try to weaken that person so that both of them can continue to smoke and bitch about
Yes,
it longer.
that's right. This is why I call them looking for excuses groups,
Well,
because really
it's
there's
like I'm going to support you not quitting, although I support that you came here to quit. Everybody on those, there's so few people that have actually quit smoking. And it's counting down the hours and counting down the days. It's like, my God, you never think of anything except the cigarettes you're trying to live without. You can't
right,
you can't quit something when you're fixated on it from that angle.
right,
You have to develop the confidence to be able to say, I can walk away from that. And as soon as I do, it's no longer part of my life and it has no more power over me. And that's what your program gives to people, is the ability to do that and to know I'm not deluding myself. I'm not trying to make myself believe something that I think isn't going to work, because it's your own idea at your own point in the videos in the 4 weeks that you make that choice, and you just get that feeling like it's just not an attachment anymore. It's not, those chains just fall away.
right. So it's really coming from inside you, and it's working from the inside. So that's the most powerful
100%.
thing. That's the most powerful thing. I mean, what can you tell me about? I know you've tried the patches and the gums. What can you tell me about these aids?
I found them useless. I ended up getting addicted also to the gum, because I mean it tastes terrible, but there's something about the texture of the gum. It's very rubbery, as you know. It's
Right.
and that appealed to me for some reason. So I ended up for a couple of years continuing to smoke pack a day, and also buying one of those incredibly expensive boxes of 103 pieces of gum every month so that I could smoke and chew the nicotine gum at the same time. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah, I was doing the same. Hey,
Ridiculous when you think of it.
we have
Hello,
Fred here who
Bernadette.
says hello. Hello, Bernadette. How are you? Please feel free to ask any questions if you wish. And we're having an interesting conversation here with Sister Simon Clare, who is a very successful ex-smoker and a happy non-smoker right now.
Right now, but I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't difficult for me at the end when I had quit and I was living still with a smoker. And I think it's a different game in a lot of ways, because I wanted so badly as a non-smoker to go through the house and get rid of the ashtrays in a sort of a celebration of the fact I wasn't smoking anymore. And I couldn't do that because Ty was still smoking. And that made me really angry. I'm not an angry person, but that really pissed me off. And I don't know. I found it very, very hard. It wasn't that it made me want to smoke. I found the smell of it so repulsive. And he had kept saying how he was going to quit. I got more and more frustrated and angry, thinking, okay, well, when are you going to do that? Because you're making the house smell disgusting and I hate it. I want that gone. It's not in my life anymore. Get rid of it out of yours. There
Right.
was a week or so at that point. There was a lot of conflict, but I didn't go back to smoking. I didn't want to. I wanted him to get off his ass and quit.
Right. Meanwhile, good evening, Mark. How are
Hello,
you?
Mark.
Okay, yes. Then where were we? We were okay. So, yes, I mean I agree. And what one thing that I always say is that I don't really like to associate the word easy to this program
No,
because, be, yeah, because I mean there's a tricky mechanism that some people are using to, let's say, consider the word easy very close to magic, right?
yes,
I mean, when something is easy, so one expects that it's just enough that I do a very little thing, like maybe, for example, I just buy something and I expect that tomorrow my life will change.
yes,
But
of course.
yeah, that's not the way it works. So I don't like to fool people saying, hey, buy this course, it's going to be easy for you. There's work to do. Of course, I call it simple because the concept is simple. I mean, if you put all the
Hmm.
steps together, it becomes simple in the end. However, you have to put yourself at work, and there's something that you have to do, but you have to be consistent in that. And I think, come on, 14 days and then the next 14 for supporting your first 2 weeks. I don't think it's going to be that hard to build. I mean, it's just a simple
No,
step-by-step program, but I don't like to call it easy. So
no, I would have
there's
to
never
agree.
an easy
There
way.
are things that are challenging about it, but the other thing that makes the difference, which you don't get in a book or some of these pages, whatever, is you. Because I was seeing you every day in a video. I knew I could contact you if I had a question or something became a problem. I didn't feel I was doing it alone. I felt I was doing it with you as a person who had quit smoking and found the freedom and the break from that. That made a big difference to me. And days when I was ready to kill my son because he was still smoking, um, I went back and I listened to a lot of the earlier videos, and that helped me calm down and get my head in the right place again, and just tell myself soon enough I'm going to be able to celebrate with Ty when he's able to do that, and I have to let him know I believe he can do that when he's ready.
right.
Stop freaking out. It's not my problem if somebody else is smoking. I can wish with all my heart they would stop, but I can't do it for them.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so what can you tell to smokers who want to quit, but they don't know how to do it? I mean, what's if you had to give a suggestion out to our smoking friends, what would you tell them?
Don't try to do it alone. Prepare yourself a little bit, but don't make a big deal out of it. If you say, I've got to have hypnosis or something, I've got to put myself in the mood to do this, and you make it into a big hurdle, it's going to become a big hurdle. Go into it with the expectation that there's no reason in the world that you're not going to succeed. You're doing this program. Of course you're going to quit. That's what it's made for. That's what you pay for. That's what you do every day for. So it's not like, oh, what am I going to do if I fail? Because you tell us what to do if there's a setback or a failure.
No.
It's not like we're rejected for having a difficult day or two. But I would say stop stressing out about it and don't do it alone. Just get in there and start.
Hey, we have an interesting comment here from Mark that I'm going to show you right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark says, thanks, Mark, for your contribution. He says, the hard part for me is the frustration or anger without a smoke. and I have trouble with this. So there's a couple of things that Mark doesn't know, right? Simon,
Hmm.
what can you tell him?
Well, I would want to know if he's taking the program, at what point in the program is he? Because if he was taking the program and doing the homework, that would not be his thought at all. Because it's not you that has to be frustrated or angry. Because you become the tool to help yourself to quit. And when you discover that you have that power all of a sudden, you don't have the frustration. You don't have the anger. You just start to make the choice yourself and notice that you're having fewer and fewer and fewer cigarettes all the time. I didn't say one time, not even one time in the whole process did I ever say to myself, oh, I wish I could have a cigarette. Because as long as I was working the program, I never felt that way. All I felt was amazed and very happy, very surprised, and very positive. It was great to know I was capable of doing that. And I tell everybody, they're also sick of me. I tell everybody about your program. And to me, there's no point considering another way to do it. When you've got this set out and it's available, and it's essentially, compared to any other method, it's painless.
So look at this question. Bernadette is asking Mark, are you doing the course, Mark? And Mark replies, well, by the way, thanks to both of you for your contribution. Not yet. And he spent thousands to quit, making sure this is not another scam. I
It's not
totally
a
understand,
scam.
Mark. Listen, Mark, I spent 5 years trying to quit with oh so many methods and oh so many trials and errors that you cannot even imagine. And frustration for me was horrible. I within these 5 years, I spent 1 year not smoking. Okay, and that was the worst year in my life ever, because I was constantly thinking about cigarettes, and I was constantly saying, oh gosh, I want another one. Oh man, how can I go on with this? I want a cigarette. For the whole year I was thinking nothing but cigarettes. Then I understood how to work out my subconscious mind this way, and well, I'm 7 years without smoking. And we have a great example here, Sister Simon Clare. You're 3 months now not
Yeah,
smoking, and you're absolutely certain and sure about what you did.
absolutely 100%. No doubt at all. And I was curious at the beginning. I didn't have the suspicion that it was going to be a scam because I didn't see why anyone would put so much work into creating that program if it was just to rip people off. It's not a scam. And I mean, I'm not making that up either. As I said in my other video, I really am a nun. Part of my commitment to God is I don't mislead people, or I would only ever tell the truth about it. It really works. It's a daily program that you do every day. If you have to go backwards, go backwards. It's not a problem, but you keep doing it every single day. If it takes more than 4 weeks, it takes more than 4 weeks. But if you keep at it, it will work for you. It's not a scam, and it's the most amazing feeling because you are free, and your voice in that repetition, I still listen to that in the car because I find it so empowering. I really do. Where you say, and I'm free. That's just what it feels like. You have this shout inside like, hey, I did it. I did that. I got rid of that filthy slavery finally, and I'm free. There's
Yeah,
nothing like that feeling.
I really wanted to emphasize the fact that when you're a non-smoker, you really are free. I mean, you're free from something that
Oh,
kept
it's
you
amazing. Yeah.
kept you slave for years. And look at what Bernadette is saying. The problem I have is eating since stopping. I am piling on the weight.
What are
Do I
you
cover
eating? Is
do I cover that in the course, Simon? Just quickly.
absolutely. And you explain it fairly close to the beginning of the course too, that that's a problem a lot of people encounter, and there are ways that you're going to show us to not make that a problem. It I didn't even, and in other attempts, yeah, quitting on my own, I did the same thing. I just wanted to nibble all the time. But with this method, I never felt like I wanted to eat as a replacement for cigarettes. For me, the connection between the two, the eating was something I was doing instead of smoking to make it
Yeah.
easier not to smoke. But with your method, your mind isn't even working in that direction. It's the building sense of freedom. It seems to almost leak into other parts of your life. I didn't have the same compulsion to eat or nibble or chew or anything. It did not happen to me. And that was another huge surprise because I expected to put on, 10, 15 pounds. I figure, well, if that happens, that happens. I'll take care of that problem after I'm a non-smoker because the priority, the smoke is the most important thing to get rid of. But it never became an issue for me because of the way you handled it.
Right. Sweet things I've never had before. Okay, listen, Bernadette, I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to give you a suggestion here. And it'll be for free. So it's not a scam, okay? So there's an automatism that you are removing after you quit smoking. So the automation is your hand taking something into your mouth like this. I mean, this is a piece of sugar. You see, it's like sugar for coffee. I mean, I'm at a hotel right now. So you're doing this. So your subconscious mind wants you to keep doing this. So it does it with food because you think that you need food to replace that gesture of cigarette. So as soon as you understand that this is an automatic movement that you're doing, then you start realizing that, okay, now I'm not smoking, but if I have the right mindset, I don't even need to continue to do this. All right. So that's one thing. A second thing, if you really feel the urge to have something to, let's say, to chew or something, just have a glass of water or keep with you some healthy snacks like little carrots or maybe nuts. Don't exaggerate with nuts because they can also, I mean, there's a lot of calories, like celery, like carrots, and all these little things that are really even practical to carry out. And sweet things. Actually, sweet things is replacing, which is the same thing that you're doing with cigarette. You are replacing let's say, a subconscious lack of, how can I say? Uh, I don't know how to express this. When you feel you need some cuddling or some cherishing, you associate this with getting some sweet things. But when you do this transformation to your subconscious mind, then you realize that you can control all these things. And here's the thing that you need to start realizing is that the gesture that is no longer there, but your subconscious mind is telling you, hey, where's your arm feeding your mouth with something, right? I mean, this is the mechanism that is going on. So let's say Mark says, so smoking is done partly by repetition.
Oh, wouldn't you say almost 100% of the cigarettes that you light, you're lighting because it's a habit for you to smoke in that circumstance. If you sat and thought to yourself, how much do I really want this cigarette right now? You would probably find half of what you're smoking you don't really want. You're just doing it because you always do it at that time of day or in the car or when you have a break at work, or it's a repetition in your head. It's not something that your body needs.
Right. Yeah, replacing one bad habit with another. Yes, actually, what you're replacing is the cigarette with food, with junk food or sweets and so on. Yes, exactly. I mean, you keep doing a habit that is detrimental for your health. Of course, gaining some weight is not as bad as continue to smoke. I mean, gaining weight, then you can eventually control it. However, there are people who really gain a lot of weight after they quit because they keep doing the same thing that they were doing before, but not with cigarettes, but with food,
Yeah,
with wrong food.
that's so true. They're still smokers. They're just not smoking.
Yeah,
So they keep
exactly.
with the oral gratification all the time.
Exactly, you said it right. They quit cigarettes, but they're still smokers.
Yeah.
So what I am giving with this course is the key and the tools to become non-smokers and become free from this addiction and from this all automation, right? So that's basically it. And you know, replacing cigarettes with food, you're just replacing one problem with another. And like the thing, I mean, don't get me wrong, patches and gums, they are really working because actually they're working in removing the cravings on the short term, but they are not eradicating the problems into your mind. You will still be a smoker because at the moment that, yes, I know that the dose has to decrease gradually, and then in the end, you will resolve the chemical reaction, but you will not resolve your subconscious mind problem. It's exactly like when you want to lose weight. When you are, I mean, there are thousands and millions of diets out there, but none of them are effective if you don't make a mindset switch,
So true.
even even
If
changing
I can,
lifestyle.
if I can speak to that, one of the attempts that I made a couple of years ago with the gum, I did actually end up going a short time without cigarettes, maybe a couple of months really. But I was chewing the gum, and I remember my doctor asking me, how was that going? Was I stopped the cigarettes? And I said, yeah, I've stopped the cigarettes, but I'm still chewing the nicotine gum all the time. And he said,
Hmm.
but that's great, you quit smoking. I didn't feel like I had quit smoking. And I said to him, no, I have no satisfaction. I have no sense of accomplishment. I'm just as tied to this nicotine as I was when I was setting it on fire and sucking it into my lungs. The only difference is I'm chewing it now.
Right. So patches and gums don't work for me. Allergic to patches and gum is nasty like rubber. Yes, I know. actually, actually, these gums are horrible. But
They are, yeah.
besides that, Mark, it's an external help that is, it's like a palliative cure. Okay, so it's removing the short-term pain, but it's not eradicating the problem. What you need to do is to remove the problem from your subconscious mind.
Hmm.
And actually, there's only one way to do it. Uh,
And it
well,
can be done. It works. It's anybody can do it.
yeah. But like I said earlier, I don't know if you heard, Mark, I'm not advertising this as an easy way of doing things. I will never say this. And I'm really going frontal to that because I know that there are methods that say it's going to be easy. No, like I said, I don't like to associate the word easy with this and with any goal getting because people tend to associate easy with magic, and people tend to believe that, oh, it's enough, I buy this book and I will quit smoking magically, and then last page, and then I'm not a smoker. No, it's not that. It's the way it's supposed to work is that you take the method, and look, I structure this course with one video a day. So it's between, I say, 20 minutes to, well, the longest one I think is 1 hour or something. But you have to reserve for yourself at least 1 hour every day. Um, and this with this video, one video a day, and there are some exercises to do, some repetitions, and some. There are some also some news that you may not know right now. The way you've been convinced by the industry to become a smoker, and the way you started to smoke, which it was not totally your fault, let's say, something or somebody told you to start smoking. These are all things that many smokers don't know and they don't realize. Maybe you think, oh, that was obvious, but before you're thinking about that, it was not that obvious. And these are the first revelations. And then with these little exercises, in a matter of, I mean, if you're constant, I mean, Simon, how long did it take you to become a non-smoker? 14 days, right?
Yeah, maybe 10 to 12 days because I know it was at least 2 days before day 14. And I was so surprised. I thought, am I going to start smoking again at any minute? It's a new process still at that point. But I did not want to have a cigarette. I really I didn't feel connected to the habit anymore. I really didn't.
Right. So the way I designed this is the first 2 weeks are preparation for you to quit smoking. And day 14 is your last day of smoking. And then there's another 2 weeks to support your first 2 weeks as a non-smoker. However, what happened in the case of Simon, for example, she didn't even want to smoke the last cigarette that I'm telling to smoke on day 14. So she got ready earlier, and it was herself who decided to quit before I say that. And the good thing is that, I mean, when you start the course, you are invited to quit smoking, to continue to smoke. So it'll be yourself when you will be ready after the first 8 to 10 days, 12, 14. You will decide to quit because you will realize that you don't need it. You don't need it anymore. Right?
It's not even something that you have to convince yourself to do. At that point, if you're doing the homework, you don't want to do it anymore. And sure, there's going to be an occasion or 2 or 3 where you're going to think, oh, I'll just have a cigarette, or, oh, maybe I'll have a cigarette. Look at that coffee. It's going to be great with a cigarette. But it's not at that point when you have that thought. At least in my own experience, what would happen to me was as soon as I heard myself saying that, I would override that thought myself as if I was a second person saying, you bloody idiot, what are you thinking? Why would you do that? I had no physical need for it. It was just a fragment of an old habit. And because you had taught me so well what to do, I truly, honest to God, I didn't want it. And that still surprises me every time I think of it, is how soon in the process I found it wasn't because you were telling me to not want it or that it was bad or horrible. We all know those things. All smokers know how bad and horrible and expensive they are.
Yeah.
It's as though a decision, when you're on the right track and doing the assignments, the ability to make that decision grows in you, and then it acts, whether you're 100% conscious of it or not. I really noticed, and I started the program still smoking a pack a day, and I didn't try to quit. You said, go ahead and smoke. In the first few days, I said, I love you. Of course, I'll go ahead and smoke. Let me get my coffee and cigarettes while I watch this video. But I lost that so quickly, and I never had to decide to make myself lose it. It just went on its own, and to me, that's so remarkable.
Right. Yeah, that's it. This is what I call, Simon, if you allow me this is what I call a healthy schizophrenia that's going on in yourself when you are quitting to smoke, because there's still your old part that is saying, I'm going to have a cigarette. And then the new part saying, no, you're not going to do that, right? Until the new you, which is actually what I call in the course, the new personality that you will be developing, it'll take full control of yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's the liberation. So, Mark, yeah.
It's such an amazing feeling. If I had somehow the ability to make a gift of that feeling to every smoker, it would be amazing. But you have the program. It's the same thing. It's a gift.
Let's just say bye to Bernadette. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Good night, Bernadette.
Yes, and thanks for your contribution. And Mark was asking me about information about the course. And Mark, you're going to see here's the link below the video. Here's, let me see if I can point it somewhere. Right there. Here, there. All right. So that's the link. You can go to that page, and there's some description, and there's of course the button to proceed with the checkout. If you have any questions, just send me a message. You can write to support@simplequit.com, and I'll try to answer all your questions. if you have any question, or you can even contact me on Facebook Messenger, and I will be happy to answer all your questions. If you have any doubts, questions, if you want an anti-scam proof, if you wish. I mean, I've got my face. There's my address. There's my phone number there on the page, and I have absolutely nothing to hide. And I think your question was genuine, and I battle. Well, actually, it's not a battle. Actually, I sometimes I even have fun in reading a lot of comments that they are calling this program like a scam without them even asking some questions. But you, Mark, I totally understand what your feelings are, even because if you tried so many methods, right now you have doubts, and I have absolutely, I support you and I understand you. So I'm here. Just feel free to ask me any questions as you wish, and I will be glad to answer them all to you. All right. What else? Look, we've been talking for 1 hour, Simon.
That's gone by very fast.
Yeah, it was very fast. Well, is there anything else you would like to share? If not, we may call it a day, I guess. Are you gonna have a cigarette now?
Oh yeah, no. Never. And every time I get in my car, it's clean and it smells good. I'm so proud of myself. I really am. And what you're saying about it's because you become a new person. It's not like you have to separate yourself from who you used to be. You become a new and improved version of yourself that doesn't want to be hooked to that disgusting habit. And that's the tool that you learn to use. And that's the part of you yourself, break it. It's gone. You're free.
Here's a word I like. I mean, I don't claim this is mine because I've heard it from someone, but I like it very much. I like to call ourselves like we are not human beings. We are human becomings, because it's our, I guess the quest for happiness is nothing but improving ourselves and our life on a daily basis. And listen, there are many ways, there are many things that you can do with your own life to improve. You can improve your relationships with your family, with your friends, with your wife and husband, son, brothers, and so on. These are great things to do. You can also change your lifestyles to the better. And quit smoking is a great step. It's huge, because you are going from something that you think that it's almost impossible to achieve, and you get to achieve it. And after you've done that, you feel so powerful that you can even feel you can do anything in this life. And actually, opportunities are open for everyone. I am a strong believer in the power of the humans to do nearly whatever they wish, as long as you put yourself at work, because that's the key for everything. There are no magic buttons. There are no easy ways. There are no shortcuts. If you want something to work, you have to put yourself at work. You just need to find the right tools, and that's it, and use them, right? Anything you want to add, Simon?
I have to admit to you, I still have not listened.
Sorry, just a second. Bye, Mark. And
bye, Mark.
Gotta go. Thanks for being with us. Time to purchase the course. Okay, good choice. Awesome. Let me know if you have any questions.
Wonderful.
And I know you can do it. I mean, if you dedicate yourself, you'll be on our side very soon. Bye. Good night, Mark. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, Simon. You were saying?
No. Not a problem at all. I'm so glad he's going to give it a try. I think that's amazing. And somebody right there is going to change their life. I still have not listen to the very last video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is
Not
that?
because, I don't know. I think it's, I've
Is
grown
it like
so fond of you.
is
You're
it like
part of
saying
my family.
I think I understand, because it's like, you watch the last one and it psychologically you're saying this is like a farewell, right?
Yes, yes, and
It's
I
like
don't want to
goodbye.
say goodbye.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can rewind everything and watch from the beginning anytime you
Oh, and
wish.
I will. I'm sure I will. Just, because I enjoy it so much. It was a great process. It really was. It wasn't like a hard work thing or having to go to summer school because you failed algebra, or it was a really intensive learning, enlightening, wonderful process. It really was. You're my hero. You always will be.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm flattened now. Thanks. But actually, I recommend you watching the last video. There's a nice story there, a little
Okay.
story. You may know it already. It's the story of. It was actually a story of the. What was that? Oh, I don't even remember. I think I picked the one of the eagle who believed that he was a chick. Do you
I
know about
don't
that
think I
story?
know. No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. There's actually, I mean, I'm not gonna tell you because I don't want
Well,
to spoil.
no.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil. I don't want to do any spoiler. So I mean, just go ahead and watch it. I mean, it's not going to be farewell. Come on. And also, I will be uploading some extra videos as well.
Good.
Uh, Actually, I still have to do the one that you suggested me, and I will do it because it's a situation that can happen also to others.
I think it
And
happens to a lot of people, and I think a lot of people also, as I felt at first, if the smoker I was living with didn't quit at the same time, it was going to be 10 times harder. And it was not. It was still my process, and I was still able to do it. It was annoying. It made me feel very frustrated. I still get angry thinking about all the times I had to go and buy cigarettes for the smoker in my house when I was so proud that I didn't have to do that anymore. That really annoyed me. But I was just being childish. It works. I knew it worked for me, and I believe it works for anybody who really wants to give it an honest try.
yeah, this is really important. I don't know, Mark. Probably you're gone, but this is really important. It's something that I always say. I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it right now more directly. And it's really important that you have to understand that you have to put yourself at work and you have to be diligent and dedicate time to this program. Not a lot of time, I mean, 1 hour every day for 14 to 20 days. Uh, but if you're looking for something magic and easy, if you think that your life is going to change just by purchasing the course and just watch it from time to time, that's not the way it works. So I always warn people before making this purchase to commit. You have to commit to yourself, you have to commit to the program, and you have to also be open minded. You are going to listen to things that may seem absurd, but you have to follow the instructions as I am saying. And you will discover very soon that these things are things that really work. And the exercises that I am telling you to do, it's something that if you think about it, you are doing it on a daily basis. Because anything you have to do, anything you have to learn, you have to do the repetition. It's like I use the example of, I mean, try to write your name with a pen, with your writing hand. You don't have to think how to, you see, how to drive your hand. It just comes natural. But now to try to write your name with the other hand, you have to think and be concentrated on how to move your hand, and it's probably going to be awful. You will not be able to write your name very clearly with the other hand. So to learn how to do that, you have to repeat this exercise over and over and over again. And that's the same thing when you want to learn something new.
Yeah.
Like you want to learn how to play tennis, you have to do repetitions. And this is exactly the same thing. You have to, do you want to learn something new? You have to repeat it to yourself until it becomes natural and automatic. All right.
Yeah.
But this was actually a good proof that, I mean, you've been 1 hour, 10 minutes, you didn't smoke a cigarette. So, yes, you really are the smoker.
There we go.
It worked. Very good. Okay, look, Simon, thank you very much for your testimony and for your
Anytime.
contribution. And I guess we'll stay in touch because, I mean, we're now part of the family right now.
Well, don't forget that. I'm not going anywhere.
Good. I count on you also for the future. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, best regards to Ty.
Of course.
And I'll see you soon. All right.
Okay,
Thank you very
David.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.